Alright guys, welcome back to the Skymaster F18 build video series. In this video we are going to start to install the hot section in the back of the airplane. So we're going to install the pipes, the exhaust tubes, the turbines, and get that stuff installed. So that's going to be kind of probably the largest portion of this video, and that's it. So without further ado, let's dive in. But before that, if you have not done so already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel, give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. When you do hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Let's go. All right, guys, so one important thing here is if we look at where the turbines lined up, this may be hard to see, but obviously we've got those wires that are going to be close to the joint in between the turbine and the exhaust pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap those lines just in that area for about 4 inches in each direction with some silver foil tape. So this stuff here, which is just used for sealing the joints of ductwork. This particular stuff I have is 3M. I find 3M stuff sticks the best, but there's lots of different brands out there, so I'm going to get that done. Alright guys, pretty simple step, but it's one of those ones that's just nice to do as kind of a preventative maintenance or preventative measure type thing. So anyways, both lines have been wrapped in foil. Alright guys, just finished mounting this exhaust, or this pipe, and pretty straightforward process. So the pipe goes in. These were all done by the owner of the aircraft, so they were already lined up and holes were drilled and everything. But basically, we've got bolt holes and former work that they bolt to, and pretty straightforward. But you get it loosely positioned in place. Put the cone on, the exhaust cone, and then tighten those up, because as you tighten them up, it kind of sits at an angle, or it can. So you want to make sure that the former that's here in the exhaust cone is holding it nice and straight. And that's what it looks like. Alright guys, both pipes have been mounted. Next thing we're going to do is the turbines. So we've got a couple things to do here. The owner has put the brackets and stuff on, which is great. Appreciate that. But we've got to, number one, set the distance, and number two, also eliminate any possible interference. So I'll show you once they're in, it'll make more sense, but I'll throw a screenshot up. So shout out to Shaquille down in Colorado, and for sending me a picture of the correct angle to put these turbines at, and which eliminates any possible interference. So there's a shot of it, but I'll show you a picture also once it's in the airframe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert these turbines, get the spacing done correctly with the pipe, pull this back out, and then match them up, and I'll show you guys the finished product. If you are ordering one of these kits and you have the opportunity to order it with the air brake, man, do it, because just having this access is so nice. But anyways, I'm going to get these turbines mounted, and I'll show you guys the finished product or any hiccups. Alright guys, so there's a shot of it there. So just one thing to note, this is set to 25 millimeters, so 1 inch. When you're measuring the pipe to turbine distance, you're measuring from the start of the exhaust pipe. You're not measuring from the start of the bell mouth. So most manufacturers are roughly around 25 to 30 millimeters. So right there we are at 25 millimeters, and it's perfectly spaced at 25. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark that with a paint marker on the actual body of the turbine, because it's loose right now, and pull them out and match them up. And I'll just point out here, guys, that you're not matching up the distance with the body clamp on the turbine. You're matching up the distance with the pieces of wood. Reason for that is this is fixed in the airframe. This distance is fixed in the airframe. So if the holes are slightly different or whatever, that's really what matters. The pipes themselves are exactly the same spacing in. So if we were to match the space up on the turbine body, it would be a little bit different. Now, it's not enough to be probably significant, but just pointing that out. All right, guys, there's turbines. We got 2 installed. Show you a view from the back here. We are nice and centered in those pipes. So as far as turbine position goes, this is what Shaquille was talking about. So basically on the right turbine, you've got the data plug past the former here, or the mounting plate. That means that the MPX connector is going to be down kind of on that side. And then on the left turbine, you've got basically the label facing straight up. So you've got your MPX connector there and your data connector right there. So I'm assuming what this does is it puts the RPM sensors basically as far away as possible. So anyways, that was the suggestion, to not get any interference. So turbines are installed. What I need to do now is get the plates mounted on the bottom and the top. Now, the bottom one looks like it fits no problem. The top one is going to need a lot of work. I was playing with that yesterday. Basically, these are the fiberglass pieces that when I unboxed this thing, I had no idea what they were for. But that's what they are for. So they just fit down there, and bolts go through, and they've already got blind nuts installed in there. So we will have to make those holes bigger. The top one here, doesn't matter which way we put it. That way's kind of the best. The right hand side looks okay. This side is not even close. And then if we flip it around, same thing. So we've got to do some work on the fiberglass there, and but that's how those turbines are held in place. So nice simple design. So I'm going to work on that, get that finished up, and that means the turbines are done. All right, guys. So the engines are fully installed now. We've got those plates installed, 4 big bolts each. So that's actually a lot bigger than I thought they were, but and they're 4mm Allen head bolts. So we've got 4 on the bottom, 4 on the top. All I had to do to the top piece here was just sand it out on both sides, and it fits no problem. So anyways, the engines are installed, nice and solid, and that step is complete. All right, guys, I'm just getting the wing wires fixed up here. So I drilled a hole. I actually used my helicopter reaming tool. If you look on the inside of the airframe, there's actually the kind of oval cutout there, so you know exactly where it matches up on the wing side. So I just went in the center, reamed a hole out, and put the grommet in. Those grommets, I get these little kits from our local store here called Princess Auto. They've kind of got basically everything. It's not just automotive stuff. It's like a hardware store, but everything else. So anyways, that's the grommet that I used. Pretty straightforward, just jam it in there, and that grommet nicely fits 3 power box wires. You could fit 4 through there, but anyways, that's what's happening. So we're going to take these Ashlock connectors, and there's going to be one on the fuselage side, obviously, which is going to have the 3 wires going into it. So it's a 9-pin connector that we got. And then the male side, or the other side, is going to be on the wing. And that's how we're doing it. So it's pretty straightforward. Nothing really overly exciting about that, other than just getting all the wiring done. And the one reason I want to get this done is so then when we're ready to route the wiring to the front of the fuselage, that's all ready to go. So I'll get that all done up, and I'll show you guys what it looks like, but it's pretty uneventful. I'm just going to get the fuselage side done at this point, and then we'll do the wings at a different time. So just a note here for you, because the servos are X-bus servos, it doesn't actually matter what order these get plugged into. So basically, if you can imagine that these 3 leads get plugged into the X-bus outputs on the receiver, this basically becomes almost an X-bus hub, and because everything's programmed in the servo, it doesn't matter what servo plugs in where. We will line it up properly, just in case the receiver or anything ever gets changed, because you don't want to have that become an issue if somebody buys this plane and puts a different receiver in it. So anyways, guys, that's that. A little bit long-winded, but we'll get this all done, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so there is one of the ends done. I still have to do the other side, but so just to show you the process here, basically pulled a bunch of wire out, put a piece of shrink wrap on there just so we had it on there, and marked each wire individually before I put the shrink wrap on. So on this one, it's hard to see here, but I'll show you on the other end. Just put a one single black Sharpie line. Middle one put 2, third one put 3, and paired that up with a dot on each section there, just so it corresponds to the ends here. So we've got 2, 1, and then this one should have 3 lines on it. So when we actually go to hook these up, we know that this is the 1 dot, and we've got it all marked out on this side. So again, with the X-Bus servos, it doesn't matter, but if the radio system ever gets changed on this, then it will be easy for that to happen. So now this basically stays like this. We can pull this out a little bit further, so it can be as long as we want it to be. And then this is the female end, is going to be hooked up to this wing. We're still missing a servo lead because I haven't done the leading edge flap yet, but we're going to have the female side on this side. So when we actually put this wing on, any of the extras will just tuck inside the wing there. So that's how we have it set up. Turbine wiring has been installed on both sides. What I was doing was just checking the length to see how much space we have. So all of the wires are going to come this way, like I've already shown you, go under the tank and come this direction. Now we've got, and this is going to be fairly archaic, but I've got 1 hand length plus a palm width of space. That's how I measure things for distance. So what I do with that is, so just coming over to the front fuselage section, so I know I've got 1 hand width plus 4 fingers in distance. So what that does is that allows us to basically mount the turbine ECUs in that area. So don't mind all these tanks. That's just a little mock-up there. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2 tanks mounted on the bottom. I'm going to put a little plate here, and or what I might do is put yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the tanks yet. I like fastening with silicone because it's nice and stable and you don't have to add any additional structure. And then if you want to or need to get the tanks out, you just use fishing line, put it around the, or safety wire, put it around the silicone and just slide it out. So it's nice and easy. But regardless, we're going to have a plate here for the 2 turbine controllers. We're going to have the main kind of nuts and bolts going right in this area. And basically batteries and air tanks are going to be up front there. Probably put all the air tanks up front. And so that's kind of my initial thoughts on that as far as mounting stuff goes. So a lot of my thought process at this portion of the build basically just goes into just organizing things, working it through my head, trying to figure out where things are going to fit best. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm doing these builds, I just spend time thinking about things. I'll sit out here in the garage, stare at things, figure out the way things are going to work, lay things out. So it's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I was playing with the canopy just to see how it fits on there and everything, what kind of access we have and stuff. So, but that's kind of what we're up against right now. All right, guys, next thing I'm going to work on is mounting the smoke stick into the aircraft. When I was planning this out, I thought about doing 2, but because our smoke tank is somewhat limited in size, I don't think you're going to notice it. Also, for pumping through 2 turbines, it's going to be... we're going to go through that smoke tank in probably 45 seconds to a minute. So we're going to do 1 on this side. So my thinking behind this is we're going to mount it to the sidewall, and I'll show you what I use for that. So we've got 2 1/4-inch plywood blocks basically this side is flush, and we're going to drill the hole right through the center. It doesn't really matter as long as they're both paired up, because when you mount them in the airframe, they're going to be mounted this way against the fuselage, and if everything's lined up properly, then it just works better. So I'm going to drill through that, and I'll show you kind of what my thinking behind it all is. All right, guys, so this is step number 1. So we got those 2 blocks drilled, so they're the same. This is going to be mounted on the inside of the fuselage, right against this side wall. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 2 screw holes through here in line with the tube, and then we'll just use 2 of the Dubro servo screws, and that'll be our fixing screws for fixing that tube. Works really well, nice and simple. Anyways, I'll get those drilled and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, so that's what I'm talking about as far as what I'm doing here. So I put those blocks on, got them all lined up, soaked them in CA, put the set screws on there. The set screws don't have to be very tight, and then of course the CA locks the tube in place, but it's the screws that do it as well too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some 4mm line on the end of that smoke tube, just so it's easier when it's done now. And then I have to get this bent as well too, to kind of get it initially in the exhaust pipe. We will do our final bending once the high sol is all cured on the blocks. Okay, guys, we just got everything set up here. We enlisted help of lovely wife. Thanks, Katie. So I just marked it out with the Sharpie marker there. How's your hand feeling, honey?
It's getting stiff.
So we got everything lined up nicely, and I'll show you what it looks like from the back here. There we go. So we're pretty much perfect there. So that is good. Now we just got a way to find a way to glue it and fasten it. All right, guys, and as per usual, we want to get as much stuff ready to high sol as possible to maximize our high sol usage. So we're going to glue the fitting in the tank, and then we're going to glue the smoke tube onto the fuselage. Now I still have to put the line on. I just remembered that as the camera was on. But fortunately, this fuselage is like a big rectangle, so that makes it nice and easy. It's just laying on its side right now. It's very, very well supported, and there's no pressure on it. So anyways, that'll make putting the smoke tube in nice and easy, and it'll stay there until it's cured, which is wonderful. So we'll do that. All right, guys, so I think what I'm going to do, I am going to install the second smoke nozzle in the other side. And the reason I'm going to do that is we only have to plumb one. The other one can be there. And if we want to add 2, we can add 2. It's just a matter of adding a T in this area right here, because our on-off valve is going to be right there. So it's going to be a fairly simple thing if we want to add 2. But obviously gluing that second one in the future is going to be more of a challenge, because once the plane's assembled, tilting it on the side like this is going to be very, very difficult. All right, guys, and that is the end of this particular portion of the build video. So we got some good success in this video. We got the turbines all mounted. We got the wiring basically kind of cleaned up and figured out what we're going to do, and basically we got the smoke system figured out. So I won't show you guys the second mounting of the other nozzle in the next video. It's pretty straightforward stuff, nothing too crazy, but that's basically it for this episode. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. If you haven't done so already and you want to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Give the video a thumbs up, and also leave some comments below as well too. Don't forget to do that. If you guys do hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified when I release new videos. Making good progress on this, guys. Very, very impressed with how fast we can get stuff done now. I had to place an order today for the sequencer. I forgot to put that on the last order, but that should be here fairly quickly by next week, and that'll basically be everything we need for the video. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.